Welcome to the White Towel video panel where we're going to discuss everything Canucks related for the season, joined by Patrick Johnston, Canucks beat writer for the Sun and Province, Ed Willes, columnist for the Sun and Province. Patrick, let's start with you. You did the first long road trip of the season. This storyline so far, obviously, hope, Elias Pettersson, and dare we say playoffs?
Well, I mean, yeah, maybe. More than we thought, that's for sure. The team has played well. They've been fun. They haven't been boring. I talked to Jim Benny yesterday. He fully, acknowledges the fact that there are a lot of really good teams in the league, and some of them are a lot better than them.
He used all his GM acumen on that. There's a lot of really good teams in the league,
and some of them are they're astoundingly good. But the fact that they're able to keep in games, and a lot of that's down to the fact they've added team speed. I mean, they've added Pettersson. Pettersson's been a fantastic story, but as a unit, they're playing quicker. They've made some modifications on defense that have been interesting, have kept them in games, and that's been a fantastic story, I'd say.
Ed, looking at them, I would say another storyline. If you had told people at this point of the season that Boeser would, I don't know if he's struggled, but just hasn't looked the same as last year, would that concern you at all?
Yeah, that's certainly one of the storylines too, but I think it's been eclipsed by the larger positive developments featuring Pettersson and some of the other guys. I go back to the start of the year, and for me, the kind of mission statement for the Canucks had nothing to do with wins and losses, or a little bit to do with wins and losses, but the larger question was development, identifying a young core, and I think they've ticked all the boxes there over the first quarter of the season.
You've seen so much hockey, and you've seen these trends. Famously, last year when the Canucks got off to a good start, you said this isn't going to last, and sure enough, the collapse came, and it came hard. Do you see a difference in this year's team?
A little bit. I think they're a little more insulated from that just because the depth throughout the organization is better. I mean, you have to remember, they're doing this without their first-line right winger, without their best defenseman, without their best penalty killer, and without, the guy they actually invested quite a bit with to be their fourth-line center guy, Jay Beagle. So that's a big hole out of any team. But the fact that they're still kind of there, still in the conversation, still relevant. Like I said, if you would have gone to any Canucks fan at the start of the season and say, here's what we've got, where do I sign up for that? And then you throw in the makings of the franchise centerman, which is really the big story of these first 20 games.
Well, and also you mentioned the injury. When you talk about Sutter, and you can't talk about Sutter being out of the lineup without mentioning how well Bo Horvat's done under heavy pressure. I mean, he's taking 35, 40 face-offs a night because there's just no one else to do it. And he's not an elite penalty killer, but they're asking him to do it. He's doing all these things, and they've managed to make it work. And they're creaking to the end of this road trip that they're on right now. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, the fact that they've done all these things while also facing incredible adversity with the schedule, with the injuries, yeah, it's been an excellent first 20 games.
Well, Patrick, you were on that first long road trip, and I dare say that this team, if you take social media as any gauge, is full of whipping boys. Ben Hutton, Eric Goodbranson, certainly Louis Eriksson, Jake Virtanen a little bit because of the promise. Yet we've all seen quite remarkable results from them so far. Eriksson maybe just on this past road trip.
Yep.
Why do you think so many players have raised their game over last year?
Well, it's been interesting when you look at the defense, and one of the challenges we knew coming into the season was they were coming back with the same group of 8 that wasn't all that great last year. And they really went to a guy like Ben Hutton, and they said, you have so much more ability in you, but it's all about how fit you are. And we hear that all the time, but it's crazy to understand how incredible the fitness demands in modern hockey are. And just the amount these guys lose over the course of the season, despite the fact they're eating all kinds of stuff. They're eating as much as they can. And so for Hutton to understand how to operate at a fitness level where he can do more things, and there's been some interesting data come out this week looking at just the rate at which he's doing stuff. It's just so much higher than it was last year. And so you look at a guy like that, and he's kind of the leading example of a player who is doing more than he could. And I think we're seeing examples of it all over the lineup. And as I said, they talk about the fact that they are a quicker team. They are closing gaps quicker. They're playing teams that are better than them, but the better teams don't have as much time to work on the puck to make things happen. And, when you do that, you're giving yourself a chance, and then, you're going to need some luck, and they've gotten some luck. There's no doubt about that as well.
Ed Virtanen, we've famously seen, I guess the Sedins are the greatest example of high draft picks came in with a ton of expectations, and their first few years were, not maybe what people expected, and then you look what they blossomed into. I'm not suggesting that Jake Virtanen is going to win the Art Ross Trophy, but how have you liked what you've seen so far from him?
Oh, I think it's a massive development for the team and the organization. Is it sustainable? We're going to find out here very shortly. But to me, that was another big question facing the Canucks. Like, we knew about Pettersson, we knew about Boeser, we knew about some of the guys they have coming. But it was really important for the organization for one or two more guys to pop. And I think that Hutton and Virtanen are giving signs they could be those guys, could be impact players. That changes a lot of things for this organization. If you're looking at a team where Jake Virtanen is like the 5th, 6th best forward, that's a pretty good team, and that's what the Canucks might be looking at down the road. They might be looking at a linchpin guy in Hutton, a guy who they can run out there for 22 to 24 minutes, like a top 2 pairing guy. And they didn't have anybody resembling that. You know, I mean, there was talk about Quinn Hughes being the best defenseman in the organization the second he was drafted. So, you know, that they've got Hutton, you know, and he's an intelligent, he's a puck mover. Now, can he sustain it over 82 games? And that's what we're going to find out here.
All right, great stuff, guys. This is the White Towel Canucks panel. From the Vancouver Sun and Province, Patrick Johnston, Ed Willes will be with you all season, bringing you their insight on the Canucks.